Hi, this is Kevin. Welcome to part 2 of my tutorial for uh, the coding assignment for Severance Chapter 11, which is the chapter on regular expressions. In this program, we're going to be searching for numbers rather than words. And let me bring over the data we're going to be working with. So for my starter files, I'm going to bring over a file called telephone.txt. And telephone.txt has phone numbers in formats we use here in the US. And there are three different formats, okay? There's this pretty popular one where we have 3 digits, a hyphen, 3 digits, a hyphen, 4 digits. That's kind of the modern uh, way to do a, uh, a 10-digit phone number. Okay. Another version that we have is kind of similar. We've got the 3 digits, then 3 digits, and then 4, but the separator, instead of being a hyphen, is a period. And you'll see this on stationery and business cards and those kinds of things. Okay. Um, uh, Not so often these days. It's possible to find a phone number that doesn't have this initial 3 digits or area code. And that's because when we went to mobile phones, we were using multiple area codes all over the place, and so we began to require um, that when you were dialing, that you enter the area code, even for local calls. And but we still do format these things in text, so it's possible to have a number that just has these 3 digits, a dash, and the 4, and that was something. These first 3 digits, at least we used to call the exchange. I don't know what we call them now. Perhaps we call them the exchange. So we could have 3 digits, a hyphen, 4 digits. Or we could do the old way, which is this area code would be in parentheses. Then we'd have a space, and then 3 digits, a hyphen, and 4 digits. Okay? So those are the various versions that we're looking for. Okay? Okay, well, let's get started with the program. Okay? So the program is going to be called Find Telephones. So let me get started on that. New Python file. Find telephones. And of course, well, I have an already baked version. And I'm going to bring over a doc string. It's a little different than some of the doc strings that we've been using. And I forgot to fix this one. Here's the way I think this one should be formatted. I think it should be formatted like this. Uh, you know, it's a little bit hard to find the documentation for the proper formats for doc strings, but there are a couple of sources. There's one source that's part of the Python documentation. It's the one of the PEPs, and then there are a lot of other good sources. But people seem to agree that if you're going to have a doc string that's longer than just a single line, that you ought to have an opening single line summary, and then you ought to skip a line, and then you ought to have more of the detail after that. Okay, and I hadn't been really following that in terms of multi-line doc strings up until now, but I'm going to begin to do it. Okay, so here I'm saying that we want to extract matches to 4 different telephone number patterns from the input file. So we've got the 3 digits, the dash, 3 digits, the dash, 4 digits. We have the same with the period as the separator, and then we have the parentheses and the space, and then the 3 digits, the dash, and the 4, and then we have the kind of old-fashioned, because we're not including the area code, 3 digits, a dash, and a 4. So those are the things that we are looking for. Okay, so let's get the program started. Okay, and again, I'm not going to do any appreciable pseudocode for this because again, we're going to open a file. We're going to do a for line in file, we're going to process the lines one at a time. We've been doing this for weeks and weeks and weeks, and it ought to be second nature to us now. So what do I begin by doing? Well, I'm printing out a polite little description of what the program does. I'm not saying that you have to do that, but it's okay to do it. I do it kind of inconsistently, but I did it here. And then this is the standard code that I have for prompting the user for the input file name and opening the file with the right encoding. Okay? Now, here's what I want to do. I'm going to be using re.findAll, okay, to find all of the qualifying telephone numbers that I can. Okay, and each time I do an re.findAll, okay, I'm going to get a list back, provided that I find some values. Okay, and or if I don't find any values at all, I'm going to get an empty list back, right? So here's what I want to do. I want to report the telephone numbers that we found, okay, in processing the whole file. I want to do it all at one time. So I'm going to create a list called telephones found, and I'm going to assign it the value of the empty list. Okay. And then I'm going to add to that each time I find some telephones. Okay. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to do for line in file. You're used to that, right? All right, now we need to process the line. Okay, and here's what I'm going to do. Well, I'm going to give you the whole line of code. Now, if I were to write this before your very eyes, I would have written this a piece at a time. Okay, so here we have a moderately complex regular expression. So we're using re.findAll. Okay, that's going to bring back a list, which we're going to call telephones. Okay, and if we found any in that line, they are going to be in the list. And if we didn't find any, it's going to be an empty list. Okay, that makes sense. We're using a raw string. That's our standard approach. And of course, we really need it here because we have a lot of backslashes, which we would not want to have to code as a double backslash. And that's got, does that have some complaint about it? I don't think it does. If I look up here, it says we've just got some things that it considers typos. Those are these things up here. Okay, so we're doing fine. Okay, so what are the rules here? Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to put these on different lines. Okay. I'm going to put these on different lines, and then I'll come back and I'll put them the way they were. So here's what we're looking for. The first thing that we're looking for is 3 digits, a dash, 3 digits, a dash, 4 digits. Then we have the OR bar, okay? Then we have the next rule that we're looking for. 3 digits, a period, 3 digits, a period, 3 digits. Notice I have to escape the period because the period has a meaning in the regular expression language. It means any character, okay? But we don't want a meta character here that says any character. We want a real period. So we have to escape those. Then we have a left paren, 3 digits, a right paren, a space, 3 digits, a dash, 4 digits. Or we've got 3 digits, a dash, 4 digits. Now, I'm going to undo this because we want this to be a proper regular expression and not all torn up into pieces. A match can happen in any of these 4 alternate rules. Generally speaking, you do better to put the longer rules before the shorter. Okay? We don't have a situation here where it's possible for one of these to match more than one of the rules. Okay? So with that in mind, we can put them in any order. But I think you always will do better to think of the possibility that you might get a match too early. Okay? And certainly that's a consideration for the homework assignment that you're going to do. Okay? So in that one, you're going to want to put your longer rule before your shorter rule. Okay? That's all I'm saying there. Okay, so let's put that back. All right. You'll notice that we didn't put the the indicator here about ignore case. Should we? No, not really. These are all digits and special characters. They don't have an upper and lowercase equivalent. Okay? So we're not even interested in that. All right, that's pretty good. Now, what are we going to do to accumulate the telephone numbers that we've found? What we have right now in the list telephones is the one that we found in this line. Okay. Well, here's something we're going to do. I don't think we've done this before with lists, but it's a nice practice. Okay. Here we go. So we're referring back to the list that we created and it initialized to the empty list, this telephones found. Okay. And here's what we're going to do. Lists have a method called extend. in which you can get them to merge other lists into themselves. Okay, so we're going to ask this telephones found list to add the contents of the telephones list into itself. So this is a way to use a list as an accumulator of other lists. Okay, every time we come through here, we take the list that we just found, telephones, and we dump it into the telephones found accumulator list. Okay. All right. So we can just go around and around and around through all of these lines, and when we're done, telephones found should have a list of all the telephone numbers in any format that we found in the input file. Okay. Now, we need to print some answers. Okay. Well, you know what? Even though I didn't have it in this order, let's close the input file. Okay. And we need that to be properly indented. So yeah, let's close the input file because we're done with it, right? And now let's do some reporting. All right. And what's that going to look like? Well, that's going to look like this. Let's make that a little bigger so we can read it. Okay. So we say, if not telephones found. Okay. Now here again, I'm using a non-Boolean type in a Boolean context. Okay. So telephones found is a list. Okay. And it is true in a Boolean sense if it is non-empty. And it is false in a Boolean sense if it is empty. So when we say if not telephones found, this is the same as saying if the len of telephones found equals 0. We're going to print no telephone numbers were found in the input file. Else, well, then we did find some. So we're going to print the following telephone numbers were found in the input file. And then we're going to do a for in for telephone and telephones found. And we're going to print these indented by 4 spaces. Why? Well, because we think that looks good. All right, so let's give this a run and see what we get. Well, we don't get anything because we forgot to call it. Wow, I've done that twice this afternoon. We have to call main if we want to run main. All right, let's try that one again. Okay, so the name of the file with the test data is telephone.txt. And let's look, we should have 12 telephone numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I happen to know that they're the right ones. And because we use the for in, and because we use the search, okay, we get really robust behavior because, for instance, empty lines don't bother this at all. Not at all. Pretty good. All right. So let's take a look at that code again. Where are we? Yeah. So let's look at find telephones. Okay. And pretty good job. All right. So that's it for this tutorial example. The exercise that you're going to do, you're going to be looking for another kind of number. and it's going to be a little trickier, but I think you're up to it. So I'm going to say bye until next time. Bye bye.